Every single escalation of the confirmation wars, Mr. President, can be laid at the feet of Democrats. This is a simple truth, and nothing my colleagues on the other side of the aisle can say can change it. I speak from experience, Mr. President. I've been here through all of it. I was here in 1987 when Democrats started the confirmation wars with their disgraceful treatment of Robert Bork, one of the greatest lawyers in the country, and a person who was supremely qualified to be on the Supreme Court. I remember vividly the day the late senator from Massachusetts came to this floor and smeared Judge Bork as a man who would somehow turn back the clock to darker days in our nation's past. I have to say, Senate Democrats twisted Judge, misrepresented his record, and in some did their best to turn a good and decent man into some sort of a monster. In their scorched earth campaign against Robert Bork, Senate Democrats sowed seeds of destruction that are coming now to full fruition. Next came Clarence Thomas. My Democratic colleagues learned from their Bork experience that fabrications and misrepresentations can bring down even the most qualified nominee, and so they set to work on Judge Thomas. Not satisfied merely with denigrating Judge Thomas's professional qualifications, they set about to destroy him personally as well. I've been in the Senate I'm in my 41st year, Mr. President, and never in all my time have I seen a lower moment than the way Senate Democrats treated Clarence Thomas. No baseless allegation, no lurid lie was too low for my Democratic colleagues' attention. To his great credit, Judge Thomas endured this slander with dignity and respect and was confirmed by a slim 42-48 margin. Thankfully, Mr. President, after the Thomas ordeal, we stepped back from the brink. When Bill Clinton became president and had 2 Supreme Court vacancies early in his term, Senate Republicans did not play tit for tat. Instead, we gave Justices Ginsburg and Breyer fair hearings and confirmed them overwhelmingly. And how did Senate Democrats pay us back for our fair treatment of President Clinton's nominees? They filibustered President George W. Bush's nominees. I've used the word unprecedented, Mr. President, to describe Democrats' expected filibuster of Judge Gorsuch. Well, what Democrats did to President Bush's judicial nominees was also unprecedented. For the first time in history, Senate Democrats successfully filibustered 10 Court of Appeals nominees. These were nominees, Mr. President, with majority support in this body. These were nominees that would have been confirmed had they gotten an up or down vote. I cannot overstate how dramatic a change this was to Senate norms and procedures. For the first time in history, Senate Democrats created an effectual 60-vote threshold for judicial nominees. Remember that Clarence Thomas was confirmed with only 52 votes. Had Senate Democrats filibustered his nomination, it would have been defeated. But they didn't, because partisan filibusters of nominees with majority support were simply not in the accepted playbook. What Senate Democrats did during George W. Bush's presidency, Mr. President, changed the Senate forever. Next up was Samuel Alito. Like Chief Justice Rehnquist, Justice Alito faced a partisan filibuster by Senate Democrats. Like Chief Justice Rehnquist, he overcame that filibuster. But what's notable about Justice Alito is that he received fewer than 60 votes for confirmation. He overcame the filibuster because 19 Senate Democrats voted to end debate on his nomination, even though only 4 ultimately voted for confirmation. 15 Senate Democrats, that is, chose not to filibuster Justice Alito, even though they opposed his nomination, because they recognized that filibustering a Supreme Court nominee with clear majority support had no precedent in this body's norms or history. So what happens when Barack Obama became president and Republicans had an opportunity for payback? Did they filibuster Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan? Of course not. Indeed, many Republicans voted against Justice Sotomayor and against Justice Kagan, but no Republican tried to prevent their nominations from coming to a vote. Once again, Senate Democrats escalated the confirmation wars, and Senate Republicans chose not to reciprocate. And how did Democrats pay us back for our restraint on Justices Sotomayor and Kagan? They nuked the filibuster for lower court nominees. The irony of this move was really something. It was the Democrats who 10 years earlier, for the first time in Senate history, began the practice of filibustering Court of Appeals judges in an effort to stop President Bush's nominees. When Senate Republicans then had the gall not to roll over for President Obama once the shoe was on the other foot, Democrats simply changed the rules back to what they were in practice 10 years prior. Democrats, that is, raised the effectual confirmation threshold to 60 votes by instigating filibusters to block Republican nominees, and then lowered it back down to 50 votes to push through Democratic nominees. And they did so after only 7 failed cloture votes. Republicans, by contrast, endured 20 failed cloture votes during President Bush's term and never changed the rules. That brings us to today. Having borked Judge Bork, smeared Justice Thomas, instigated the filibuster for lower court nominees when it was in their interest, filibustered Justice Alito, and then eliminated the filibuster for lower court nominees when it was in their interest, Democrats now expect Republicans to throw up our hands and allow them to block Judge Gorsuch, an unquestionably qualified nominee with broad support from across the legal community and the country as a whole. Enough, Mr. President, enough. We have let our Democratic colleagues get away with their games for too long. They were for the filibuster before they were against it, before they were for it.